Good morning, everyone. Today, we are going to start with a new topic. This week and the subsequent 7 weeks, altogether 8 weeks, we will be covering this book called Buddha Dharma, Pure and Simple. The PDF version is available online in Foguangpedia. You can obtain the link from this YouTube below. To put everything in a nutshell, I consolidate everything into 8 broad topics. Before I go into the details, I would like to share why I recommend this book by Venerable Master Xing. It's not only a text on fundamentals of Buddhism, it also clarifies misconceptions that most people have. It guides us to see in the right way and right manner. Let's give some examples. Some people see karma as fate. When some bad things happen to them, the common response is, "Oh, this is my karma." However, if you study karma carefully, you will understand that the word itself means action. You can have good actions or bad actions. Hence, when we refer to something bad that happened, we are talking about karmic results. There are many conditions that lead to the karmic results. These factors interact and give rise to certain results. There are 24 conditions. Karma is only one of the 24 conditions. Another misconception is seeing Buddha as a god. We start praying for good health from the Buddha during this COVID pandemic. Buddha does not decide our destiny. We have to do all the necessary precautions. Buddha is like a doctor who diagnoses and prescribes medication to us. If we don't take it, we can't blame the Buddha. Buddha is like a guide. He shows us the path, but we have to do the walking. Ever since the starting of lockdown since last March, I have been holding quite a number of online Buddhism and meditation classes. We had done a lot of listening, but listening is only one part of the practice. There are 3 parts to our practice. First is listening. Second is contemplation. Third is practice. There are people who find that though they listen, they still find problems in the daily life. There are various causes to this. One might be not listening mindfully. Another is lack of contemplation or wrong interpretation of the Dharma. It might also be lack of confidence and persistency in their practice. Therefore, the Buddha's Light International Association, or in short, BLIA, organizes a worldwide Buddhism examination to help us not only in listening, but enhances our contemplation. With regards to this examination format, this is an open book exam. Study guide will be provided. The examining question will be based on the study guides. The application link is at the description below. You will receive the study guide through email. There are altogether 25 multiple choice questions, 10 true or false questions, 15 fill in the blanks questions. Examination will be conducted through Zoom. Please turn on your video camera throughout the examination. Please note that we'll be using a different Zoom ID, not the one that we are using now. We will notify you about the new Zoom ID. The examination will fall on September 11 on Saturday at 10 a.m. Application link will be found in YouTube description. We have a surprise gift for those who score full marks. We hope to put Dharma into our daily life. This examination is not meant to make it difficult for you. Rather, this serves as a check on how much we understand them correctly. Now let's look at our schedule for these 8 classes. Today, we will have understanding and practice. And on the 10th of July is 3 characteristics of existence. On the 17th of July, the law of causation. On the 24th of July, cultivating the mind. 31st of July, Bodhisattva path. 7th of August, vows. 14th of August, developing good relationships. And the last class on 21st August will be empowerment and deliverance. Coming to today's lesson on understanding and practice, I will only cover part of the book. Let's look at the detail for today. We'll start from chapter 3 on listening mindfully, chapter 4, listening, contemplation, and practice, chapter 5, taking refuge in the triple gem, chapter 6, upholding the 5 precepts, chapter 8, 4 noble truths, and finally, chapter 9, noble eightfold path. I'm going through these fundamentals of Buddhism using the study guide. However, I didn't follow the guide page by page. Rather, I grouped similar concepts together. If you would like to study in a sequential order, as per the study guide, we have a 2 days intensive course conducted by our Young Adult Divisions, Yano, on 28 August and 4th September. It's also a Saturday, but it'll be much later. It starts at 9 a.m. to 11. We'll be using a different Zoom ID. Let's start today's class. In most sutra, when Buddha responds to Bodhisattva request to expound the Dharma, Buddha usually replies, listen mindfully, listen mindfully. What did he mean? A, listening fully and not taking the meaning of what was spoken out of context. B, listening to all aspects and not to be biased. C, listening skillfully and think positively. D, all of the above. Listening mindfully is not only applicable to studying Buddhism, but also applies in daily issues. Listening mindfully means to listen intently and attentively, as well as to reflect upon and remember. Listening fully means not taking the meaning of what was spoken out of context. Listening to all aspects is to hear from all perspectives and not to be biased. Listening skillfully refers to thinking positively after listening. An example on the concept of impermanence. Some people, after listening to impermanence, think that everything is passive. They cannot change. However, the opposite is true. Because of impermanence, a person without knowledge and skill can acquire knowledge and skill to become an expert. A poor person can work hard and become a rich person. A miserable person can work on his mental afflictions to become a happy person. Henceforth, a person who does not pay attention when others are talking is like a faulty printer that produces blurry text and images. It is like a seed planted on infertile lands. I remember those university days when I saw some of my classmates using a recorder to record the lecturer's teaching. And I wish I had one. But later, when I did have one, when I was studying in the Buddhist college, I realized that I hardly make use of it. And paying attention in the class was much productive. Hence, I realized that the most important thing is being at the moment. Try our absolute best to be mindful. We can gain the most out of it. I wonder if you have asked this question to yourself. Why did Buddha say listen mindfully and not watching mindfully? Because it is much difficult to retain images in our mind in such a short time frame. In my Buddhist college day, I tried closing my eyes and focus on listening during classes. I was less distracted and could concentrate better. But never do this in front of your boss or partners. Sometimes due to our cultural differences, our upbringing, and our background, we may form prejudices or biases. We have to learn to be more open and embracing. Most of us are more ready to listen to an expert than an ordinary person. But sometimes you may have surprising insights from this non-expert. Chapter 4, Listening, Contemplation, and Practice. To fully understand and realize the Dharma, the insights gained from listening and contemplating should be practiced and delivered to the world so that everyone may benefit. The answer is true. This is a true or false question. In today's fast-paced world, people like things done quickly. We travel on high-speed train. The faster a mobile phone, the better. Speed indeed is important. However, in many situations, haste makes waste. It is recorded in the sutras that the Buddha spent 21 days in deep meditative contemplation, reflecting on the truth he discovered upon attaining enlightenment. This illustrates that the process of learning requires careful consideration in order to be fulfilled. Nothing will be achieved if speed becomes priority. After listening and contemplation, repeated reflections need to be applied to understand what was heard. Only then will one internalize the teachings and benefit from it. Insight gained from listening and contemplating should be practiced and delivered to the world so that everyone may benefit. Insight, if not being put into practice, is as good as you have a treasure, you buried it under the ground. There's a story about a rich man. He's a miser, a very stingy person. He will bury his gold bars under the ground, but when his family asks him for money, he will never give them a single cent. Once in a while, he would dig the ground to look at his treasures and bury them again. Unfortunately, one day, his servant saw it. He quietly dug out all the gold bars. One day, when this rich man went and trying to dig, he was horrified that there was nothing. He was very upset and kept on crying. The servant then asked, "Master, do you use these gold bars?" "No," the master replied. Then the servant took some stone bricks and wrapped it in gold paper. He said, "Master, you can always look at these bricks with gold paper and treat it as your gold bar. They are the same since you are not using it." It is a pity that we have the opportunities to learn about Buddhism and gain insight, but don't practice and deliver it. We are as good as that stingy rich man. The Buddha spent 49 years expounding the Dharma over 300 occasions, delivering sentient beings. In this way, he perfected his attainment of samadhi through listening, contemplation, and practice. The correct way of Buddhism is to select a particular Dharma teaching who one likes and ignore those who one dislikes. The answer is false. We need to have a comprehensive understanding of Buddhism. For example, in the 3 characteristics of existence, I could not say I only want to know about impermanence, but I don't want to believe in no self. Every New Year's Day, we will conduct refuge taking ceremony. But this year, due to the pandemic, we will be holding an online refuge taking ceremony on 24th October, Sunday, 3 p.m. What's the purpose of taking refuge in the Triple Gem? Taking refuge in the Triple Gems is not only about recognizing a master, but to have faith in oneself and to take refuge in one's intrinsic nature. It is to practice self-discipline and respect through following the Buddha's teaching. The Buddha is like a role model for us to follow. The Dharma is like the solution, while the Sangha is like a mentor. The Triple Gems are like a finger pointing towards the moon. The finger is important because it gives you the direction. However, you shouldn't get obsessed with the finger. You should be looking at the direction where the finger is pointing. Hence, taking refuge in the Triple Gem is to find this finger which provides the direction. Ultimately, it still depends on yourself to work towards the direction, finding your intrinsic nature. Which of the following parables of the Triple Gems is incorrect? A. The Buddha is like light that nurtures all beings. The Dharma is like water that nourishes all beings. C. The Sangha is like medicine that cures all beings. D. The Sangha is like a field that enables the planting of merits and virtue. C is the wrong one. The Buddha is like the light that nurtures all beings. Light shines, warms, and allows life to mature. Light drives away darkness and fear. The Dharma is like the water that nourishes all beings. Water cleanses, eradicating defilements and karmic hindrances. Taking refuge in the Sangha is like owning many fields over which crops can grow into bountiful harvests. Buddha is the creator of Buddhism concept. The answer is false. Buddha never said he is the founder of those concepts that he delivered. Instead, upon his enlightenment, he said, all sentient beings possess the wisdom and virtue of a Buddha, but have yet to attain enlightenment. The triple gem, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha is the core of Buddhist faith. This one is fill in the blanks. Chapter 6, Upholding the 5 precepts. Which one is false about the 5 precepts? If you are worried about failing to uphold the 5 precepts, it is best not to commit. This is the wrong answer. All the 3 are correct. It is a practice to prevent wrongdoings and ensure wholesome deeds. If precepts are broken to save many or the world, then this will not be regarded as breaking the precepts. The core of the precept is respect and not to violate others. A Buddhist observing the precepts is like a student following school rules or a citizen abiding by the law. The only difference is that school rules and a nation's law are externally enforced rules, while Buddhist precepts are inner values of self-discipline. 5 precepts are like 5 acts of generosity. We don't harm others' life, possessions, chastity, and reputation. The last one on non-intoxication is to respect and value our wisdom. Hence, observing the 5 precepts is not beyond our reach. Upholding the 5 precepts embodies the true meaning of freedom and democracy. The majority of those imprisoned and deprived of their freedom are all those who have violated the 5 precepts. Henceforth, by taking up the 5 precepts, you are not just making vows in front of the Buddha. You are making a declaration to this whole world that you want to become a good person. You are giving others fearlessness. You are also keeping yourself away from unwholesome deeds, which give rise to unwholesome results. While the 5 precepts may seem like 5 separate aspects, in essence, there's only one core precept: to respect all lives, to not violate others, to have self-discipline, to give rise to merits. The answer is B, to not violate others. We don't violate others' life, possessions, chastity, and reputation. Getting drunk may lead to violations of the above 4. Taking refuge is the first step to learning Buddhism, while upholding the 5 precepts is faith in practice. True? The 5 precepts in Buddhism: refrain from killing, refrain from stealing, refrain from sexual misconduct, refrain from lying, and refrain from intoxicants. So these are the 5 fill in the blanks. Which of the following does not entail the spirits of precepts? A. The significance of precepts is to not violate others. B. Upholding precepts is the foundations for practicing all wholesome and spiritual cultivation. Precepts are like a teacher that guides one through what should and should not be done. Precepts restrain our actions and limits our freedom so we do not do the wrong things. So the last one is the wrong one, incorrect answer. Precepts don't restrict our actions and limit our freedom. In fact, we are free of worry from getting caught red-handed for whatever misdeeds. How would you define freedom? Doing things that we like? But how about doing bad things that we like? Is that called freedom? Freedom is not only about self, but should include others. Others would also like to live a long life, keep their possessions, and good reputation. Observing precepts give us freedom from either physical imprisonment or mental imprisonment. You may run away from being caught by a police, but you cannot be run away being caught by yourself. A man stole something, just turned his back, and he saw a police. He felt happy at the moment when he got hold of the items, but the next moment he was in fear when he saw the police. So where is true happiness? We have to free ourselves physically and mentally. Chapter 8, Four Noble Truths. The Buddha chose to teach the Four Noble Truths to the 5 bhikkhus, or the 5 monks, during the first turning of the Dharma wheels. The Four Noble Truths are 1. Suffering, 2. Cause of suffering, 3. Cessation of suffering, and 4. The path to cessation of suffering. These are the fear in the blacks. Some people would think that Buddhism is very pessimistic because the first thing they mention is suffering. But if explained in the logical order of cause and effect, the sequence of the Four Noble Truths is firstly, cause of suffering, secondly, suffering, thirdly, path to cessation of suffering, and lastly, cessation of suffering. However, to most people, the effects tend to have a more apparent relevance to them than the cause. Using skillful means, the Buddha therefore first explained the truth of suffering. He put it in the order of effect, then cause. It's not because you learn about suffering, that's why you feel suffering. Neither could you run away from suffering just by denying its existence. Buddha is trying to present to us that there is this suffering in the human world, and as such, this human world is not a perfect one. We have to work harder to get ourselves out of this suffering. An example, falling sick. You cannot say, sickness, sickness, please don't come to me, and expect that sickness won't come to you. If you don't take care of your health, you don't exercise, you don't eat healthily, you have a higher chance of falling sick. Once we acknowledge that there is suffering, then we would want to find out about the cause of suffering. This is like falling sick and try to find out the cause of sickness. Next is to take medication, which is the path to the cessation of suffering. Having taken the right medication and being cured, that would be like the cessation of suffering. The Four Noble Truths is like the process of treating an illness. Physical ailments require medical treatments to be cured. Mental afflictions require the Dharma to be treated. The cure for mental affliction is to stay at home and have sufficient rest. The answer is false. The problem is with the last sentence. According to the Buddha, what is the cure for mental afflictions? A. Taking a tonic prepared by a verdict healer. B. Chanting the Heart Sutra 50 times a day. C. Practice the Noble Eightfold Path. D. All of the above. Some people also believe that chanting the sutra keeps mental afflictions away. We must face it, not running away from it. The chanting will only help if you contemplate on the content and put it into practice. So over here, the answer is practicing Noble Eightfold Path. The diagram shows the 8 steps towards liberating your mental afflictions. We have the right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right diligence, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And in the end, it will also lead to nirvana. Right view is having the correct understanding and principle. Example, understanding impermanence, cause and effect, and dependent origination. Right thought is having a mind free from erroneous and delusional thoughts, greed, or hatred. It allows the contemplation and understanding of truth. Right speech is speaking truthful words, free from delusions, and speech that is devoid of slander, conceit, and flattery, etc. Right action is abiding in pure and wholesome actions. It includes refraining from unwholesome actions, such as those in the 5 precepts. Right livelihood is earning a living and supporting oneself through proper means. Right diligence is pursuing the truth with courage and effort. Right mindfulness is attentively contemplation on wholesome teachings. Right concentration is having a focused mindset through meditative practice. Chapter 9, Noble Eightfold Path. Right view in the Noble Eightfold Path means to have a mind free from erroneous and delusional thoughts, greeds, or desire. B. Pure and wholesome karma in one's action, speech, and thought. C. The correct understanding and principles of cause and effect. D. A focused mind and spirit gained through proper meditative practice. The answer is C. Right thought in the Noble Eightfold Path means to have pure and wholesome physical, verbal, and mental karma. B. A mind free from erroneous and delusional thoughts, greeds, or desires. C. A mind that has ceased all conceptualization and discrimination. D. Courage and diligence to pursue the truth. The answer is B. The Noble Eightfold Path prevents us from being led astray. Upholding them will lead one to the ultimate goal of liberation. We have covered so much for today's class, and we hope to see you next week. Goodbye.